Why do good men never win? You were taught that if you were attentive, patient, gentle, and endlessly available, she would love you. Reality delivers a harsher verdict. The men who give the most are usually the first to be discarded. And here is the uncomfortable truth. It isn't fate betraying you. It's you, playing by rules that were never designed for victory. You were raised to be a gentleman in a game that was never fair. While you're composing long paragraphs of apology, other men say 3 words, do whatever you want, and somehow she can't stop thinking about them. Why? What do they understand that you don't? What is this hidden language that creates desire, respect, and power at the same time? Today we speak that language. Not through romance, but through the mind of the most dangerous strategist in history, Machiavelli, the man who understood how to rule kingdoms and how to rule hearts. This is not politically correct. It is not for men who crave approval. It is for men who want power, emotional power, personal power, relational power. Machiavelli didn't speak of flowers. He spoke of fire. And you are about to learn why respect is never requested. It is enforced. I will show you how Machiavellian principles of power forge a man who does not beg for attention, does not crumble when ignored, does not sell himself for affection. That is the man women truly desire, even if they never admit it. We will talk about desire, but not the soft, fairy tale kind. This is desire born of risk, of control, of an unshakable presence. We will destroy the myth of the nice guy and replace it with the profile of the man who controls the board. It isn't romantic. It's real. And today you will understand why the man who can walk away at any moment is the only man no one wants to lose. So what's wrong with being a good man? Everything, if you don't understand power. Machiavelli warned that virtue without strength is useless. A man may be compassionate, but without authority he will be stepped on. The same law governs relationships. Your noble heart means nothing if you allow yourself to be treated like a doormat. The fatal mistake men make is confusing kindness with weakness. And women can smell it. Within seconds, she is not testing your kindness, she is testing your power. She watches. Can you hold your posture? Do you have boundaries? Can you say no without your voice trembling? And when you cannot, do you know what she feels? Pity. And pity is the beginning of the end. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. This is not permission to be cruel. It is a warning. Love without respect decays into manipulation. And if you do not set your standard, you will live under hers. Consider the man who always says yes, who is available at all hours, who avoids conflict to preserve peace. He calls it love. She registers it as submission. And desire is never born from submission. It is born from silent emotional dominance. Make it practical. She texts you at 2 in the morning, knowing you have work at dawn. The nice guy replies instantly. The Machiavellian man does not. Why? Because he understands that every interaction is an invisible negotiation. One man tries to please. The other enforces respect. Here is the brutal rule most men refuse to accept. Everything you do to avoid losing her makes you less desirable. The harder you try to impress, the more you fade. The more you sacrifice your principles to keep her attention, the more she despises you. Machiavelli knew this. The prince who rules from need loses the throne. The one who rules from firmness keeps it. Being loved is pleasant. But if you must abandon yourself to be loved, you are trading your crown for crumbs. Now comes the painful truth. Many women don't know why they lose interest. They only feel that something vanished. What disappeared was your perceived value. The moment you revealed you were willing to exchange dignity for affection. Respect is never begged for. It is inspired. And it is inspired when a man is good without being foolish, capable of love without tolerating disrespect, open-hearted yet bounded. The man who creates desire is the man who can look her in the eye and say, "This doesn't work for me. I'm leaving." Not to punish, not to wound, but because he respects himself too much to remain where he is not valued. That man activates something primal in the female mind, the sense that he is not available to everyone, that his energy is a privilege, and that if you fail to recognize it, someone else will. That is not arrogance. It is strategic self-worth. Machiavelli warned that if you cannot control how others perceive you, you surrender power. The same rule applies here. If you do not shape how she sees you, she will control the emotional dynamic without your awareness. Want to be seen as a man? Do not be overly helpful, be fair. Do not be predictable, be consistent. And never be desperate. Every act of kindness that betrays your integrity costs you a vote of respect. Here is the irony. Only when she respects you can she begin to love you. Desire is not born from the man who gives everything. It is born from the man who knows his value and refuses to negotiate it. Still doubt it? Look at the men who attract the most. They are not the ones sending flowers on schedule. They are the ones driven by a purpose larger than any relationship. They make her wonder, do I really have him, or am I the one who must earn him? A woman can be with a good man, but she fantasizes about a powerful one, and that power is not violence. It is self-rule. It is choosing yourself first. It is being so grounded, so centered, that she respects you even when she disagrees with you. Machiavelli never wrote about romantic love. He wrote about governing perception. When you apply these principles, you don't merely earn respect, you generate desire. Because in a world crowded with soft men, the man who draws clear boundaries is the one who ignites a fire no one forgets. No risk, no desire. Simple, brutal. The female mind, like every human system, responds to rewards and consequences. What cannot be lost is never valued. What is guaranteed becomes invisible. And that includes men who are endlessly available. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. Power is not built on being loved, it is built on what you are willing to lose. A prince who cannot imagine losing his throne is not respected. He is ignored. The same fate meets the man who cannot imagine life without her. Desire requires uncertainty. Absolute security does not excite. It sedates. When she knows you will always be there no matter what, you stop being an option. You become furniture, always present, always in the background. And what is always there creates no tension, no curiosity, no hunger. Pause for a moment. How many times have you rearranged your plans for her? How often have you replied within seconds? How many times have you felt a spike of anxiety when she didn't answer? That instinct of total availability, even when you label it love, she experiences as desperation. Machiavelli wrote, "He who depends on the will of another has already lost his freedom." In relationships, this means the moment you need her validation, she holds the power. And when a woman holds all the power, desire dies, not out of cruelty, but because biology searches for leaders, not followers. You introduced yourself as a follower the first time you said, "Don't worry, I'll adapt to you." Risk does not mean instability. Risk means your presence carries weight. If your attention is abused, you can withdraw it. If you are not valued, you can leave. This creates what Machiavelli called fear without hatred, a state where you harm no one. Yet no one wants to lose you. She knows your time is limited, so she treats it carefully. Think of luxury. Expensive things are not costly only because of quality. They are costly because they are scarce. The same law applies to you. If you are always available, your value collapses. If you are focused on yourself, on your mission, and she must find space in your schedule, you become a priority. A simple example. Two men ask a woman out. One says, "Whenever you can, I'll adjust." The other says, "I'm free Thursday from 7 to 9. Who does she choose? The second, because his attention is not guaranteed. She senses she must earn it. This isn't about playing games. It's about your time having structure. Your life being so full of purpose that you cannot abandon it for a random message and an emoji. The Machiavellian man does not ignore as a tactic. He ignores because he has higher priorities. And that is what creates a magnetism logic cannot explain. Desire ignites when there is something to lose. A man unafraid to disappear, unmoved when he is not called, unwilling to beg for attention. That man occupies her mind even in his absence. Machiavelli also wrote, "Men forget the death of their father sooner than the loss of their inheritance." Dark but true. Translated into modern dating. A woman may forgive your mistakes, but she will never forget the moment she realizes you are no longer secured. That realization leaves a mark. It creates a tension. It introduces risk, and risk keeps the spark alive. You believe desire is born from flowers and sweet words. It is not. If you want her to think about you, miss you, wonder if she is losing you, you will never achieve that by being perpetually available. You achieve it by becoming unpredictable in the right way, by being a man whose primary loyalty is not to her, but to his mission. The next time she calls and you're busy, stay busy, not out of spite, but to demonstrate that your life has structure. The next time she cancels at the last minute, don't take it personally. Go quiet. Return to your plans. Let the next meeting be one she must fit into your schedule. Do you know the strongest form of silent power? Saying, "It's all good," and disappearing for a week while you continue building your world. No explanations. No drama. No complaints. Only action. That is risk. That is power. That is real desire. And that is the game Machiavelli would be playing if he were alive today. In the game of power, the one who controls the narrative controls reality. Machiavelli made this clear in The Prince. Perception outweighs truth. You do not need to be perfect. You need to appear solid. You do not need to be invulnerable. You need no one to know exactly where you bleed. And if there is one thing that kills attraction instantly, it is the man who over-explains, the man who offers reasons, justifications, constant apologies, the man desperate to be understood. Because buried inside that need is a quiet confession. I need your validation. And every time you send that message, you lose perceived value. You lose authority. And in the realm of desire, you lose polarity. Most men believe that if she knows everything about them, she will love them more. What many women admire is not transparency, but depth. And depth is not exposure. A woman wants to know you, yes, but not completely. She wants to discover you, to explore you. She wants clues, not the full map. Machiavelli warned that men are judged by appearances, because few see what you truly are, while many see what you seem to be. Your advantage is not being an open book. Your advantage is that every word you speak feels as though 10 more remain unspoken. That she senses your inner world without ever fully grasping it. Because the moment a woman believes she has reached the center of you, interest fades. But when she feels there is still something she hasn't unlocked, she becomes attached. A practical example. She asks why you didn't reply last night. The needy man says, "Sorry, I fell asleep. I had a long day, and then I was going to answer." The Machiavellian man says, "I was busy." Short, clear, calm, that's all. You didn't give access. You didn't surrender control. You weren't rude, you were firm. What happens next? Mystery activates. Doubt activates. And doubt is the seed of desire. This is not about manipulating her. It's about protecting your narrative, not handing over the entire script. Without tension, there is no attraction. Machiavelli understood the power of uncertainty. A predictable prince is a weak prince. And a predictable man is easily controlled. You must not be controllable. You must become the unexpected variable in her mind. Strategic silence is one of your most potent weapons. Not everything deserves a response. Not everything requires explanation. Sometimes silence itself is a declaration of power. Remember as a child when your father said nothing, yet you knew you had crossed a line. That is the energy that commands respect. Women, even if they never admit it, are drawn to that contained force, that masculinity that does not brag, does not beg, does not collapse. It observes, it waits, and when it speaks with intent. Silence, when used well, is not indifference. It is narrative control. Mystery is not coldness. It is depth, properly managed. Now consider your digital presence. Do you post everything, every meal, every emotion, every thought? If so, you have already revealed too much. You have made yourself a digital open book, and she senses there is nothing left to uncover. Your life should feel like a fortress. Some walls visible, others concealing rooms she has not yet seen. She should wonder what truly drives you. What occupies your mind when no one is watching? Why doesn't he need to tell me everything? Why doesn't he ask me much? That doubt is oxygen for desire. Some will call this manipulation. It isn't. Manipulation is pretending to be someone you are not. This is choosing which version of yourself to reveal, and when. This is mastery of presence, and men with power have always understood this discipline. Machiavelli understood it clearly. Truth without direction becomes a weapon turned against you. How many men have you watched fall because they spoke too freely? Because they exposed weakness too early? Because they revealed fears to a woman who was not prepared to hold them? The result is always the same. She pulls away, and he is left confused. The reason is simple. Truth has timing. And when you ignore timing, you are not being authentic. You are being careless. This is not about hiding. It is about constructing an identity with layers. A narrative she wants to keep unfolding. And that only happens when some things remain unspoken. When you don't answer every question. When you learn to look, smile, and remain silent. Remember, this male attention is earned, but female desire is sustained through mystery. When she doesn't know what you're thinking, she thinks about you. When she doesn't know exactly how you feel, she feels more deeply. And when she isn't certain she fully has you, she invests more to avoid losing you. Just as princes never reveal all their plans, you should never expose your entire soul all at once. Not out of coldness, but out of emotional intelligence. You want depth. First, create intrigue. You want respect. Stop explaining your decisions. You want to be desired. Stop presenting yourself as common. The average man talks too much. The valuable man is the one people want to understand, but never fully decipher. She does not need to know everything about you. She only needs to sense that there is far more beneath the surface. That alone is enough to bind her to your presence. You do not need to control her. You need to control how you are perceived. Machiavelli made this clear. It is not what you are that matters, but what others believe you are. People do not act on truth. They act on interpretation. And in love, this principle is amplified. A man can be disciplined, successful, emotionally mature. But if he presents himself as needy, he will be treated like a child. Another man may be flawed, quiet, even slightly arrogant. Yet if he projects emotional authority, he will be treated like a king. She does not respond to your essence. She responds to your frame, your energy, your presence, the way you occupy space. That is why the art of relationships is not physical. It is psychological. You do not win when you get her body. You win when she thinks about you in your absence, when her emotions attach themselves to both your presence and your distance. Machiavelli observed that men judge more with their eyes than with their hands, meaning appearance outweighs unseen effort. This is where most men fail. They believe doing everything right will earn them devotion. But women are not measuring effort. They are measuring experience. A woman does not fall in love with your actions. She falls in love with how she feels when she is around you. And if what she feels is that you are overly available, surrendered, emotionally subordinate, then no amount of success will save you from being perceived as lesser. Listen carefully now. The first mistake of the weak man is that he presents himself as a solution. He wants to rescue, to support, to fix. It sounds noble, but it is interpreted as concealed neediness. The Machiavellian man never presents himself as a solution. He presents himself as an opportunity. He does not attempt to repair her life. He demonstrates that his life is already solid, and that she may join it if she qualifies. That shift alters everything. She asks, "What are you looking for in a relationship?" The average man answers, "Someone who loves me, cares about me, values me." The strategic man says, "Someone who adds to what I already have. My peace is non-negotiable." Feel the difference. One seeks approval. The other applies standards. And that frame alone reshapes her perception. A woman is not drawn to a man searching for salvation in her. She is drawn to the man who is complete, whose direction does not change with her validation. Another Machiavellian truth: if you cannot be loved, be feared. But if you can be both, you dominate. In relationships, this means being fair and emotionally available without ever surrendering your structure. Warm yet unpredictable. Affectionate yet firm. She must feel that you desire her, but do not need her. And that tension is what compels her to invest. What can be lost is protected. What is difficult to obtain is valued. And what does not bend under emotion commands respect. The second fatal mistake of the average man is that he explains his value. He wants her to understand how good he is. He recounts his past, his pain, his struggles, his achievements. He believes more information creates more connection. It does not. Value is never explained. Value is demonstrated. A valuable man never announces his value. He makes her feel it through the way he speaks, the way he moves, the way he carries himself, the way he draws boundaries without apology. Consider this. She flirts with another man in front of you. The insecure man erupts and creates a scene. The passive man swallows it, smiles, and says nothing. The Machiavellian man smiles calmly and says, "Do whatever you want. Just remember, I can choose too." And then he leaves. The result? She doesn't know whether it was maturity, indifference, or cold resolve. But she thinks about him all night. Because you didn't give her drama. You gave her a lesson. And that is narrative control. You don't need manipulation. You need expectation and the ability to dominate it. She expects you to behave like every other man, to text her every morning, reply instantly, chase when she pulls away. You do the opposite. You don't text. You don't complain. You don't explain. And a question forms in her mind. Why doesn't he do what everyone else does? That question is your victory. Because the female mind fixates on what it cannot predict. Machiavelli said that he who wishes to be obeyed must know how to command, and command is not shouting. It is presence. Not physical force, but emotional control. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, to apologize without cause, to over-clarify, stop. Breathe. Remember this: Perception is everything. Respect is earned in the first impression, but it can be lost with a single unnecessary act of validation. You are the prize, you are the filter, and if she forgets that, it is not her failure. It is yours for failing to project it. Master expectations. Project scarcity. Show firmness without explanation. Make her feel that being with you is not a right, it is a privilege. Real power is not staying. Real power is knowing you can leave without looking back. Many men believe love is proven through insisting, arguing, explaining, and insisting again. In truth, the ultimate proof of power is knowing when to withdraw without complaint, without justification, without asking to be chosen. Machiavelli understood this well. The surest way to preserve power is to make its loss feared. This applies to love as much as to rule. The man who cannot let go has already lost. The man who begs, who remains where there is no reciprocity, is not demonstrating love. He is displaying lack. And that lack is precisely why he is no longer desired. You are not here to convince anyone to stay. You are here so they understand that losing you was a mistake. Detachment is not coldness. It is a higher form of self-respect. It is the ability to look at someone you once loved and say, quietly, "This no longer serves me," and to walk away not with bitterness, but with elegance. Strategic withdrawal is an art. Machiavelli warned that wise men do not act when emotion commands. They act when calculation dictates. Leaving at the right moment creates something no bouquet of flowers ever could: unforgettable dignity, the kind that lingers for years. Because there was no chaos, no accusations, no shouting, only silence. And silence is terrifying to the one who believed they owned you. Consider a clear example. You are with a woman who changes. She stops respecting your time. Her replies turn indifferent. The weak man confronts her with complaints. The average man waits and hopes she will return to who she was. The Machiavellian man disappears without a word and lets the void speak for him. Why is this so powerful? Because when you vanish quietly, she has no defense, no argument, no counterattack, only questions. What happened? Did I lose him forever? How could someone leave without needing closure? And inside that mystery, you leave your legacy. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must be feared in such a way that he avoids hatred while commanding respect. In relationships, this means your withdrawal must be so clean, so firm, so final that she cannot hate you, but she also cannot forget you. True attraction is not measured by how much you tolerate. It is revealed by what you are willing to walk away from. A man who can release a woman with the same steadiness with which he once held her is a man who will never fade from memory. Here is the hardest truth of all. The man who loves the most is not the one who insists the most. It is the one who respects himself the most. Because the moment you beg, chase, or diminish yourself for someone to stay, you no longer have a relationship. You have a dependency, and you are not seeking forced company. You want a woman who knows she can lose you if she breaks the code. A woman who understands that your love is not a prison, but it is not a favor either. It is a pact. And when that pact is broken, you leave. Not because you feel nothing, but because you feel deeply enough to refuse less than you deserve. Detachment is difficult because it forces you to confront your shadows, your loneliness, your fear of not being enough. Machiavelli warned that the man who does not prepare his soul for loss becomes a slave to fate. If you are not prepared to lose her, she holds all the power. Prepare yourself to walk away, not with coldness, but with clarity. Always keep a dignified exit within reach. Do not wait until you are emotionally shattered to say enough. Do not wait until your self-respect collapses to stop begging. The moment you notice you are becoming a weaker version of yourself to preserve a relationship, you have already lost. Yes, it hurts. But that pain is far cheaper than the cost of staying where you are not valued. Because one day she will remember this. You didn't cry. You didn't beg. You didn't create a scene. You simply left. And that silent act of power will be etched into her memory. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be a man who can walk away when reciprocity ends. Because in the end, the one thing that ignites true respect is the ability to leave without warning. If you've made it this far, you are no longer the man who began this video. Now you understand why being good is not enough. Why being available, pleasing, and predictable does not create desire, it creates boredom. And why Machiavelli understood, centuries ago, how respect is forged even in love. Respect is not requested, it is imposed. Desire is not begged for, it is provoked. And love should never cost you your dignity. Today you learn that power is not about controlling others. It is about ruling yourself, becoming the man who can love deeply and still walk away the moment a line is crossed. That man, even if no one admits it aloud, is the man everyone wants and few deserve. And if you want to continue becoming him, subscribe to the channel now. Because this was not a video, it was a silent manual of war, and what comes next is even more ruthless. Activate the bell, and prepare to join the 1%, who no longer play by the rules of romance, but by the laws of power.